everybody. So, still talking about World War One. All right. Today, we're going to be talking about some new technology and some stuff that comes out during World War One. So, in America, because America's going to get involved, and America's showing up is pivotal to world history. Because when America shows up, it's just dropping hammers on everybody. So America brings back the selective service. It's like the draft is what we typically nickname it here in society. America is going to draft 3 million men to go over to Europe and fight this war in World War One. All right. We're called the American Expeditionary Force. It's kind of odd. We don't always give our army like a nickname when we're like sending them over to go fight. But in World War One, we do. And it's called the American Expeditionary Force, the AEF. So Americans, we get trained. They draft a whole bunch of them. They train them, and then we go over to Europe. All right. When we show up in Europe, everybody calls us fat. We're nicknamed the Doughboys. So the reason that we're called Doughboys and specifically like almost making fun of us for being fat, it is not a negative thing. They're all pretty much starving to death in trench warfare and have been for years. So the average adult male over there is weighing about 125 pounds at the time. Americans show up at a healthy 150, 160 pounds. We are considerably bigger than the Europeans, and we appear healthy and therefore fat. But it's not considered they're like, oh, look at you, fatty. It's like, hey, I wish I couldn't see my spine through my belly button. So when they're calling us Doughboys, they are calling us fat, but it's more of a, oh, look how healthy y'all are. Must be nice. If in any way it was anything negative. So, America, when they send us over, and this is a really cool story. So the guy that's in charge of the American troops is a guy named John J. Pershing. All right, I got a picture of John J. Pershing right here. So John J. Pershing, he is in charge of the American Expeditionary Force, and he's heading over there. The President of the United States, Woodrow Wilson, gives him one job and one job only, or one requirement. He says, do not let the English or the French control our army. The only people that control our army is America. All right. So, when he shows up over there, he's not supposed to let anybody else command American troops. It's interesting because at this point, if you remember, it's Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy versus England, France, and Russia. Yesterday, we talked about Russia's backed out. So you're like, okay, so it's Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy versus England, France, America. 3-on-3. Well, Austria is basically on fire. Like, they're done. Like Austria can't do anything else. So it's basically like 3-on-2. England, France, America versus Germany. Italy realizes they're not going to win. Italy realizes, we may have backed the wrong horse here. So Italy asked, once America shows up, like, hey, America, can we switch sides? Like, so Italy doesn't want to lose, so they want to know if they can join us. And we're like, what? Who switches sides in the middle of a war but keeps us from having to fight you? Sure. So England is going to join the side of the Allies. So now it's 4-on-1. England, France, America, and Italy versus Germany. And Germany's like, how did I get in this situation? This was an assassination with Austria and Serbia, and all of a sudden it's like everybody's teaming up on Germany. But Germany's like, no, it's go time. So John J. Pershing shows up in Europe with all of his troops. When he gets there, and this is the guy I'm talking about right here. He gets there. For 3 years they've been fighting, and nobody's been able to figure out this trench situation. When he shows up, he takes one look around when he gets off the boat and immediately realizes how dumb this is. And he's got a plan for how he can win it. So he goes right up to the French and the English. He says, hey guys, America's here. All your prayers have been answered. North America gets the stereotype of being very arrogant. Maybe rightfully so. So he's like, you just point me to the place the Germans are giving y'all the hardest time and America will take care of it. And they're like, dude, we've been here for 3 years. Like, just give us your troops. And he's like, no, I'm not giving you my troops. Show me where you want America to go, America at. And they're like, dude, We've been fighting this for 3 years. You don't know how to fight this war. And Pershing's like, whoa, hold on now. Y'all been fighting this for 3 years and y'all have moved exactly 0 feet in 3 years? Looks like you don't know how to fight this war. And they're like, about to start trying to fight each other. And they're like, dude, don't be a jerk. He's like, look, I'm telling you, I'm saving you right now. Show me where the closest area is that the Germans are giving you a hard time and America's going to go take care of it for you. They're tired of dealing with him now. Like, fine, the southern part of France, Germany's destroying us. Nothing we can do. Like, so, but if you're dead set on going down there, hold on. We're going to give you some reinforcements to take you down there and help out with the large amount that we already have down there. And Pershing's like, no. America will go take care of the southern part of France for you. All right. First off, America's got this. Secondly, don't send us any reinforcements. We don't want any reinforcements. America got this. Number 3, if you have anybody down there already, bring them back. They just going to get in our way. And so England and France are like, are you, you're going to die. You're going to die in like 3 days. And Pershing's like, no, America's got this. So he says, and they're like, so there's nothing you want from us. He goes, oh no, there is something I want from you. And this is an odd request by him. He's like, I want all your food carts. And they're like, what? Our food cart? Like, I know you guys are the doughboys, but you want all our food carts? And Pershing's like, I ain't here to play. Give me your food carts. That's what I need to go down to the southern part of France. They're like, fine. I thought it was going to be cool with America showing up, but y'all are just going to get yourself killed. Fine. So they give him all the food carts. He goes down to the southern part of France, and England and France are just sitting up here just super pounding. Oh, I'm so angry. And then like 3 days later, they start getting telegraphs from the southern part of France. And they're like, told you, 3 days and they're all dead. This is ridiculous. So they go over to the telegraph and they're like, tick, 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 tick. Like, hey, it is from the Americans. The Americans are saying that they have set up, and the Germans, they are, the Germans are in full retreat, and it just screams from this point on America over and over and over. So America does show up and just absolutely wreck shop like instantaneously. Now, there's a big part of this story that I'm purposely leaving out to explain to you how this happened. John J. Pershing, remember when he got off the boat and realized how stupid it was? Because he realized something that was happening in Europe that other people weren't realizing. There's a reason he wanted all those food carts. So with all those rats that we had talked about with trench warfare, it was wiping out the food. It was destroying a whole bunch of stuff. So what would happen is that the rats would destroy all these wooden carts that were bringing the food to the front to get to the food. So they figured out a way to make these metal carts, all right, that were like bulletproofs, and so the rats couldn't get into them. But they were so big they couldn't fit inside the trenches. So what they did is they put tracks on them so they could roll across the top of the trenches behind you to come up and deliver food to the front lines. You could shoot it all you want, the bullets would bounce off, and then they just roll back and wait till the next day to fill it up and go forward. John J. Pershing sees that they have bulletproof carts that can roll across the trenches, and they've been using them to deliver food. This is why he wanted all the food carts. What he does is when the Americans get to the front lines, instead of competing in trench warfare, he mounts machine guns to the side of the food carts and gets all the food carts side by side. And it doesn't put the machine gun on the front. It puts them on the side. All right. So they're like kind of pointed down on the side of them. And they slowly roll across no man's land while there's millions of American troops just walking right behind it very slowly. As soon as those, and you can shoot at them all they want, the bullets are bouncing off. As soon as these food carts stopped over the enemy trenches, they have machine guns on the sides and just shot everybody in the trenches. War's over. They ain't called food carts. They're called tanks. And as soon as we start using it, everybody start trying to mass produce them as much as possible because it's a great idea. So for 3 years, nothing had happened in trench warfare because nothing could beat a machine gun until the tank starts getting used. The tank is the solution to the machine guns. So you can just roll right over no man's land with these tanks. So John J. Pershing shows up. By the time America shows up and get started, and the massive production that we have with tanks and stuff, it's going to be over relatively quick. This is a picture of the draft, the people going in and out as they get drafted here in America. So if you go in, this is like what you're wearing, and then you're coming out. dressed in your military stuff, heading off to boot camp. All right, so new technology. Most of this we've already talked about. The machine gun. The machine gun came out during World War One. This is, I got some pictures here for you. Let me show you. Boop, boop, somewhere. All right, let me go back. I think I skipped a question here. Did I? Yeah, sorry. Number 12, when the healthy Americans showed up, they were mocked for being doughboys by the Allies because they appeared fat. Why would that be? They were just healthy and they weren't worn out from disease or anything like that. So because they were healthy, they were made fun of for being fat, which wasn't really a derogatory statement. It was just an acknowledgement that they were healthy and nobody else was. Pershing. All right. This here, all right. So this is some of the technology. So the machine gun is down here, right? Hard to see on the mouse. If you notice, this is a recreation of a World War I machine gun. Notice the nozzle, all right? This is designed to just spray out as many bullets as humanly possible, all right? So the machine gun came out in World War I, fundamentally changed life at the time. You got tanks. As we had just gotten into talking about, you notice that the guns were mounted on the side. Granted, when they went from food carts to tanks, that it wasn't the exact same machine. It was the idea, and they were able to mass produce them. America, when need be, can mass produce stuff faster than other people, and militarily, it's really hard to defeat us when we never run out of anything. This is poison mustard gas. We talked about that during the trench warfare. This is where it like liquefies your insides. It's awful. But so gas mask came out with poison mustard gas, absolutely horrific. And then airplanes. So airplanes, really, they'd invented the airplanes about 15 years before this. But once we had invented this idea of flying, or discovered it, I guess, nobody really knew what to do with it. But in World War I, what was a good idea, because these planes were really light. These are some of the original planes in World War I. They're made out of wood and canvas, that you would take off from an airport way behind your lines, fly over the trenches, and you would go see where the enemy's artillery is. Then you would fly back to your side, tell your side where their artillery is, and your artillery would shoot at their artillery. Both sides had this, and they would cross each other in the skies. Airplanes in World War I were pretty rough. So you have like rocket fuel in the engine. Their equivalent of it. And combustion engines still weren't as good as they are today as far as safety. So sometimes they caught on fire. If they caught on fire and you're in the sky, you're going to die. Because it's not like today. First off, it's much more common to catch on fire in the sky back then than it would be today. Secondly, the issue is that the parachute hasn't been invented yet. So if you're a mile in the sky and your plane catches on fire, keep in mind, it's burning rocket fuel, all right? And you're in a wood frame covered in canvas, you're going to burst into flames. So what the deal was, because this is why people that were pilots had to be a little bit crazy, that they would be issued pistols, all right? So if you're flying and your plane catches on fire, your option is you can jump out from a mile high. Usually doesn't work out well for you. You can burn alive. It's not going to work out well for you. Or you could just end it quickly and shoot yourself with your pistol. All right. So this is the mentality that you go into every time you take off, because this is really dangerous. Doesn't take long that these crazy guys that are pilots, because you have to be, they're passing each other every day and they're getting grumpy with each other because they're from different countries. So it doesn't take long before they start like swirling around and shooting each other with their pistols. This is the first dog fights that take place in the sky in World War I. Why it's not just called plane fights, I don't know. Because you would think, hey, dog fights are with dogs. But the reason they use the term dog fights is because it's so unorganized and it's just an absolute, back to using the same dog eat dog situation. You have a winner and a loser, and the loser is going to die. A lot of times. So the dogfights start with pistols. As the war goes on and the technology gets better and the engines get stronger, they can start putting some metal plating on the planes, and then they can start mounting machine guns on the planes. Once they start mounting machine guns on the plane, you're really going to have a very, very, very dangerous machine in the sky that's going to progress from World War I up to present day. But the technology in World War One absolutely changes with the creation of the airplane, and as the airplane advances throughout World War One. All right, so number 13 here. What were some of the abilities of these new weapons that had previously not been available in battle? Like the machine gun, being able to shoot a whole bunch of bullets at once had never happened before. The poison mustard gas, being able to just toss gas at somebody and wipe out like an entire platoon without firing a shot, that's new. The airplanes, being able to shoot people from above and be able to fly over and get information on the other side, all of this stuff is new in World War I. So just explain some of the things that were different with this stuff in World War I that had not previously existed. All right, everybody, that is as far as we're going to get for you. I will see you guys tomorrow.